All right, let's call together this public hearing of objections on amendment MP 20-02 and amendment Z 22-02 for 302 Mowat Drive. Here we are Monday, October 17th at the WC O'Neill Arena Complex, as well airing on Zoom and live streaming through Facebook. Before we get kind of into the recording of attendance, I just want to let the public aware that there's two hearing of objections this evening. So if anyone is here regarding 256 and 260 Water Street, that will happen directly after this hearing of objections. So if you're commenting on that, we'll hold off for this meeting and do it the next one. This one is specific to 302 Mowat Drive. So first thing is I can see that all members of council are in attendance. I see Councillor Hurdle joining us from remotely back from his trip. Welcome back, Councillor Hurdle. And before we actually get into the approval of the agenda, I did want to recognize that we are on the unceded traditional territory of the Besco Tomogati people. I'll be looking for a mover for the agenda for this evening. I've got Councillor Neal and seconded by Councillor Heenan. It's just the kind of hearing objections, but I will see any changes to the agenda. Seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor of approving this agenda, please signify by saying aye. That is everybody. The agenda has been approved. Disclosure of conflict of interest. Okay, myself, I am going to be declaring one this evening. This particular development is directly beside family members of mine, and unfortunately it's impacted my personal life. So I'll be recusing myself from the rest of this process. I'll be looking for the deputy mayor to take over the hearing of objections. Before I pass it over, and this is kind of for both, and I'll repeat it for the next one as well. There's a number of people in attendance this evening. There's probably going to be some people joining us online. If you could keep your comments to about 5 minutes, it would be greatly appreciated to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to speak. And the other thing is, if somebody says how you feel, you could say, I agree with that person, and add any new context just to make sure that we keep it moving. It does say the second meeting, our third meeting, which is our regular council meeting, is going to start at 7 o'clock. I don't think that's probably going to happen this evening. But in the essence of time, again, if you could keep your comments specific. And it is council's job this evening to listen. So it's your opportunity to speak specifically to the actual hearing of objections and what you do not like about it. In this particular case, it would be the amendment MP 20-06, which would be to the Town of St. Andrews municipal plan. And then also to the amendment Z 22-02 to the Town of St. Andrews zoning bylaw for this first meeting. So at this particular time, I'll recuse myself. I'm pretty limited to where I can go in this building. So I think I'll go hang out in the washroom. But I don't know, kids do TikTok videos. I'll figure something out. But if Councilor Neal can let me know when I can come back in, it'd be greatly appreciated. I could just come back when this one is adjourned, actually. So.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Your Worship. Give them a few minutes to vacate. Okay, thanks everyone for showing up. And we are now going to hear the hearing of objections and the amendment to MP 20-06 to the Town of St. Andrews Municipal Plan, MP 20-01 for 302 Mowat Drive, PED 220611. And the Council of the Town of St. Andrews is holding a public meeting to hear objections to the proposed amendment of MP 20-06 to the Town of St. Andrews Municipal Plan, MP 20-01, to move the property from commercial designation to residential designation on the generalized future land use map. So we do this one first and then the next one. Oh, together. Okay. So the second one we're doing at the same time as the amendment Z 22-02 to the Town of St. Andrews zoning bylaw Z 22-01 for 302 Mowat Drive, PED 220612. The Council of the Town of St. Andrews is holding a public meeting to hear objections to the proposed amendment Z 2201 to the Town of St. Andrews zoning bylaw Z 2201 to move the property from tourist commercial zone to multiple residential zone. Right. So start. Who would like?
Deputy Mayor, just so you are aware that we received only one letter in response to the public hearing of objections. And that
Since
has
we got
been-
our package, I
that was included in your package. That was the
Okay.
only letter received.
was gonna say, maybe it was extra, I didn't get.
No.
All right, we only received one letter then. All right, thank you very much. Mr. Knopper. Do I read the letter? No. Just ask for, anyone would like to speak first? Don't all jump to the podium and please don't rush and beat everybody up. Oh, my mic is on. Is it mine?
Yes.
Yes. So is the mic on, Kevin? Okay. All right. Thank you.
So I just wanted to raise a couple of concerns I have with the
Excuse me,
development.
sir.
Excuse me, could you announce your name?
Oh, sorry,
name,
Kevin Cooley. I'm from 86 Thomas Avenue. So this development has, in addition to the development on the corner of Bar Road, an impact of about 100 people coming to that small area. And on top of that, there's also the relocation of Passamaquoddy Lodge in the same vicinity. I came up with the 100 people because I assumed that with the 21 homes that are going on the corner at Bar Road with 2 people in each is 42. And 2 people per apartment approximately at the Compass Apartments would be 84. That's actually a total of 126. So I just rounded it down. My biggest concern is at the last 100-year storm that we had, where we had 100 millimeters of rain. The whole entire end of Thomas Avenue flooded. There was a high tide, a super high tide, which caused a lot of that flooding. We're now going to add the drainage and the runoff from those 100 plus people in that area, which, as far as I understand it, I may have my facts incorrect, but it is a 10-inch pipe that goes to an 8-inch pipe, which you can't push more through a smaller opening than it actually can handle. So that's my first concern. The other concern I have is with sewage backing up in the Thomas Avenue subdivision. There were 5 homes at the very end of the subdivision where sewage has backed up into their basements on more than one occasion. Yes, they may have drainage flow valves that have been installed, but one of them was installed and still continued to flow back in because everything was at equilibrium. Another concern I have with that many people coming into the community is that the RCMP presence is limited now for our town. And I'm wondering how we're going to handle that many more people, along with the development up at Victoria Terrace, in having the number of residents here increasing by that volume. Living on Thomas Avenue, there is a major corner in that street, and a lot of the people that come through that street have no idea how to take a corner on the right side of the road. With 100 people coming into the area, the traffic on that street will increase by maybe 80 to 100 cars. That's a concern for us living on that corner because people are speeding and not going on the correct side of the street. Then I did have thoughts about the impact with as much development as we have going on with the drinking water supply coming from Shamcook Lake. I'm not sure if there are concerns that it's drying up, but that is another concern I have. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cooley. Someone else?
My name is Ken McClay. I live at 224 Mowat, so just down the street from this development. My bigger concerns are the fact that the developer has not provided us with what this building is going to look like. And I say that having watched the last town council meeting where she said she couldn't. I agree she can't come up with an exact rendering, but there is absolutely, and I know because I work in the construction business and I've worked for industrial construction, residential construction, and mechanical construction, and have been involved in these kinds of things, that she could have produced. And probably the very first picture that should have been produced was what was expected this building would look like. It might not be because to her point, once all the services and everything are in there, it could make changes, but there should have been a rendering showing what they expect to produce there. And being as it's just down the road from my property, the fact that I don't know what it is that it's going to look like is a concern to me for my property values and all the property values of everybody around me. I further am concerned, the same as the last gentleman, about the number of people that are now coming into this area and the amount of traffic, but he's already covered all of that. My concern is that there's really no reason that we couldn't have some idea of what this building is going to look like. Thank you.
Much. Mr. McLeod.
I just moved out of it.
Sure, you can. Just don't pull the cord out, please. Thank you very much. Sure.
So, hi, James Janot, 228 Montague Street. And my commentary is less about the specific structure, but more, I'm a new person who's moved to town. I actually have a bachelor's in urban planning. So I take great interest in, where the town's going and, affordable housing obviously is a crisis and issue for our town. I just had a couple of questions around do we have a strategic housing plan to address affordable housing in St. Andrews? Not
No, we
a
don't.
zoning map, but like not a plan, but
No.
has there been a cross community consultation of stakeholders to develop, what does affordable housing look like? Who should be involved, et cetera?
Mr. Spear?
Well, I'll pass along to the planners, Andrew Gopin. There actually has been within the region and more specifically documentation provided by the Regional Service Commission on Housing, and he's actually authored it, so better for him to speak about it.
Yeah, I won't. It's great to have another urban planner around. I won't get into details of it. And it's not specifically for St. Andrews because the Service Commission is a regional body, but we have at least data on different things. And I'd be happy to talk more to you about it later. I don't think it's a good thing to take up the whole meeting with, but it is definitely something we're looking at and how to do that and have it in appropriate places for sure.
Okay. Yeah. So the reason I just bring it up is that I've been watching all the council meetings. To me, it's the best thing to watch outside of like White Lotus. It's quite entertaining.
Thank you.
And I look at it with passion and then, with general interest as a newcomer. I brought tonight, there's tons of studies. The Brookings Institute, there's University of Buffalo, I believe it's Richard, anyway, tons and tons of research on how to craft a proper affordable housing strategy. And one of my observations is that without a strategy and without a set of criteria for evaluating, it's going to make it very unfair for people like Ms. Brevington, who wants to build a affordable housing development, people in town being able to assess if it's the right type of development, and council for being able to look at it if it's meeting the criteria of what we feel is important in addressing the housing needs. So I would like to suggest that council or others look at the Urban Land Institute. It's from developed in the US. It was by Fannie Mae and other thought leaders. It's probably the best 10-point guide for how to build an affordable housing strategy. The very first one is building trust and consultation with the community, having a community committee that is focused on what affordable housing should look like, where it should be located, what it should address, etc. I think that any gathering of individuals to voice concerns over development is moot without criteria for them to be able to say, is it checking the boxes? And that's all I wanted to say tonight, is that without having that, you're going to have a thankless job, because everyone's going to come here and complain about every development that's supposed to address the problem,
Okay.
without being able to sort of bring it back to, is it accomplishing a set of criteria or goals?
Okay, can you leave us the site?
I know
or
I can
leave
email
us
you the
this?
link. Yeah, I can
That's
give it
great.
to you here, but that's all I just wanted to say, because I really want to see projects move forward, but also make sure that it's not, I guess, a lack of progress over analysis, if you will.
Thank you.
All right,
All right.
thanks.
Thank you very much. Can I keep it? Thank you. All right. All right, do we have anybody else that wishes to speak on this? Oh, and online, do we have anybody online besides Mr. Counselor Hurdle, who can't speak yet?
Mr. Murray, if you wish to speak to council, can you raise your hand? Go with no.
Okay, so there's nobody else that would like to speak to this issue. So then we will consult later but we will adjourn the meeting for now. So could I have someone to adjourn the meeting? Counselor Neal and Counselor Heenan. So Counselor Neal, if you would go and get our mayor, I can step down.
Your deputy mayor, your worship, and you
Yeah.
actually, you're over here, your worship, you actually have to complete the motion.
So, okay, so Counselor Neal and Counselor Heenan have voted to close the meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Contrary-minded? Carried. So I have someone adjourn the meeting. We did, right? So we already did.